old buildings that are maybe not used?
Yes, it's been looked at. It's 18, 24 months of work. There's a lot of B grade, C grade stock in our cities and in Fremantle that are ripe for this kind of repurposing. A lot of them are not as well because they're normally commercial office floor plans that are deep, and so you don't get enough sunlight or enough kind of access to natural light or ventilation. So there are some that are ripe for that, but it's really hard to convert a building that has been approved under the BCA, the Building Code of Australia, for commercial usage and then turn that into residential usage. I wish it was easy. I know I looked at this 10 years ago with Scott Ludlam trying to do a convert to rent scheme. It's really prohibitive, and there isn't. Each building is a unique case. Each build it's not an easy rollout. So you really need almost a task force to go and kind of identify these things and work on them one by one. It's a great idea. I'd love it to happen. It's just really kind of effort intensive.
Yeah, unfortunately for people in this group, we'll see a lot of adult children moving back into the family home, and we'll also see a lot more house sharing going forward. It's just the reaction to the affordability problem. The household structure has to change because you can't afford to live anywhere otherwise.
One of the things I've found really frustrating with a lot of federal issues is that because there's no short-term solution, we don't start doing the long-term solution because we say, well, that's not going to solve it next week, and so I think we just might have to cop it on the short term and accept some of these unsatisfactory, band-aid solutions, and then actually start the work on the long term so that we're not in the same position in 5 years' time.
Can I just make a few comments, Kate, please?
Yeah.
I think the current system...
Behind you.
Oh, sorry,
we've
got the microphone. I'll shut up.
Hi, Chris. I'd make a quick observation and then a question. The observation is that Hong Kong, obviously a different market, but the mass transit railway there, they develop land around and over the railway network, which is a point to that earlier one that they've become a property developer and they fund the infrastructure through the property development stages, and they still own property and they still rent out property and they subsidise transport. The question is about difference in product, but also difference in providers. And I know Nightingale Housing out of Melbourne, they're a not-for-profit. They're architecturally designed medium-sized housing, sort of 3 to 7 stories. They're electric, they're low energy, they're affordable because they're obviously not-for-profit. They're community-based, and there's some social housing in them. There is one development in Perth, which is in Fremantle, which is a smaller one. But what's the opportunity, other than build to rent, to look at people like Nightingale and other providers into the marketplace to open up the opportunities?
Yeah, it's a great model, but it's fairly small scale, and the product's quite expensive. It's not an affordable product, but it does offer an alternative model of development. It reduces... The price of those units would be below what they would have been under a traditional development model, but they're still quite expensive products. But I think we need to look into those the cooperative type models and create opportunities for people to do things a little bit different. We still got the traditional development model, which kind of maximises prices and maximises land, and the big winner is always the landowner, quite frankly, and we really need to move away from that old traditional way of doing things. And I'd love to see governments, local governments, state governments taking a much more active role in developing their assets. They're great to be building above shopping centres like they do in the rest of the world, above train stations, as they started to try and do in other parts of the country. There are plenty of innovative solutions, but it takes somebody with some guts to actually do this, and we don't have that sort of leadership at the moment. Development WA are kind of hamstrung by their requirements to earn a profit. They don't really build anything, they just sort of subdivide land. We really need Development WA to have a completely different role and develop innovative built form products that will lead the market.
Can I jump in there, Stephen?
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, who started Nightingale, is a friend. I've had him over here a number of times. We've been in the room with Development WA saying, can we do this? And they just trip over themselves, just not being able to kind of find an opportunity or get it done. And where
not fine.
they can't, it just doesn't happen. there's too many layers of either bureaucracy or
Too hard.
it's just too hard. You know, they're sitting on land everywhere and they're saying we have a model, we have investors, we have developers, we're ready to go, and they just can't unlock it. We've been, I don't know, it's been 2.5 years we've been trying.
I had a tour
I'll make it.
about in Brunswick.
I'll get there eventually.
And I thought there were some really good things about this development, like the laundry is all shared.
Yeah.
All the laundry, like the laundry lines are actually up on the roof. The rest of the garden is basically shared social space. There are vegetable gardens that people have access to. And so there's a lot of the actual units are quite small, but they actually work on the idea that they're shared social spaces and shared facilities. So you're not just kind of everybody needing laundry, you only need to use that space.
Yeah.
like a couple of times a week.
Sir,
Okay.
Sorry-
I think
sorry it took a
so
while.
comments. I think everybody's agreeing there is a crisis in housing in Australia, and we're on